Remix. Remix. Remix.
What it do?
What's up? What they got us on? What's the new camera?
I was playing around with the little setting things.
See.
That's probably what it is.
Okay. And we're getting Geechee in here in a little bit. Okay, we got that one. We got
We're
that
trying.
one. We got close to the classic. No, go back. Hey.
Do you know that song that's like, 'cause I gotta get up early in the morning?
Nah, who's that?
The Gap Band. Anyway.
Oh, that's terrible. I love the Gap Band. That's sad. I don't know that. It's embarrassing. I don't know.
If they had asked you that or you was gonna get shot, you was gonna be done for.
Yeah, there are a lot of those actually. There's so many. I haven't watched Brown Sugar yet.
Well, I think I saw that. I saw it recently, like in the last 2 years.
See, you got to do the classics. I haven't done Set It Off since. All right, I did Set It Off like when I was like a kid. I don't remember it at all.
I was about to be real astonished if you had not seen
Set It Off. Soul Food was hella traumatizing as like a kid.
Soul Food was traumatizing to me.
Morning, folks. Morning, everybody. Peace. Amber.
Love the Gap Band if you don't know that song.
Okay. Amber, I saw you were not allowed to, what am I saying? A part of the 50K stream that we had this week. How was that? I'm still catching up to it, 10 hours long. So I'm making my way through. I saw your cameo.
I appreciate it. Hold on. Zenzi, I did not tone down my greeting. I think you just missed it. I did it in the beginning. But I could do it again. You know, I'm never afraid. But yeah, I was on a stream. It was cool. I was only on there for like an hour and like 10 minutes or so. I just hopped in between work stuff that I had going on, but it was fun. I'm honestly just shocked so many people was able to show up and do that long of a stream.
Right. We were trying to prepare it for like Friday, and then we couldn't predict how many subscribers we were going to get. And then I think, what was it? Your doctor came on and was like, let's do it, get to 50,000 on Saturdays with Renee. And then we got there.
They did.
Yep. Oh, how's Geechee doing?
Oh, yeah. The niggas with the 2 afros are on. I know that's right.
They're used to Ball Power Media with your doctor and Jared. Used to see it. These inches.
That was actually really good, bro.
You know? It is the Amber Show. I'm co-hosting. I'm here. With the Afro Twins.
I'm so glad you got your afro out, though. Okay, so I know we're supposed to like take the National Guard thing serious, but I do just want to talk about my favorite jokes right now about this shit because they're really funny.
Go ahead.
And somebody posted National Guard, Security Guard, Lifeguard, YNs at 5. I said, you know what? That's good.
That's actually really good, yeah. I'm a big fan.
It's really funny, bro.
I mean, we make a joke out of everything is my thing. That's why
one thing about Memphis niggas, we play too much.
Exactly. That's that's the only way to get through this stuff. It's funny. I mean, it is at the end of the day. What else can you do? We organize, we resist, but you got to laugh at it. This shit is crazy.
Got to. Geechee just showed up.
Geechee made it. What up, Geechee?
Yo, what's up?
So glad y'all both are here now so I can talk about the important things. I don't know if y'all noticed my glow. I just broke up with the nigga glow. It's like real bright.
Oh, yeah? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
What they do? Was it their fault? Something you decided?
I just didn't want to date him no more. It was the poly nigga that Geechee said I shouldn't date anyways because I'm not poly. but I just don't want to date him anymore. So I broke up with him and I planned a trip with another nigga like an hour later. It was great.
So Geechee was right. That's what we do.
He was right about this one particular thing.
Fair.
Yeah. I also think I like the other person more, and I think that I can be an adult and be like, I don't want to talk to you no more. And that's what I did.
Yeah. Boundaries. I'm glad you feel comfortable putting up boundaries at least. So a lot of people just stick in it until the other person quits.
I feel like that's actually a really easy thing to do though. I think I dated him way longer than I should have. And I think it's actually very easy to just keep talking to someone when you really should break up with them. And I was wrong for that. I said, you know what? I don't know why I did that.
Yeah, the comfort, honestly. I think that's it for some people. It's like, oh, this is all right. I don't got a real problem with it. See how long this goes, and then you just get.
I don't know if it was the comfort. I really think that the biggest thing is that I was traveling so much, I didn't notice that I didn't like him that much. I think because I only talked to him so much because I was like out of town a lot and doing other stuff. I really just clicked when I had a lot of time. I was like, I don't like him.
That's another reason. Great reason, though. The traveling thing was what we were talking about before about the long distance relationships.
But somebody in the chat saying Geechee is always right. It's crazy. That must be your girlfriend because they wowed in.
Geechee's got a high hit percentage.
I mean, he was right in this one instance. I will agree. And I told my therapist the same thing. She was like asking me why was I still dating him, and I said, you know what? I really just haven't had the time to break up with him.
We have a question in the chat. Also, that's from a remix. Well, not a remix. Sorry, in my mix. What I like behind the scenes. That's Aaliyah, who worked with me and Jared back when we used to do guests for I Mix What I Like, and now we still send each other news. And Aaliyah asks if you could put it on the Summer Jam screen.
News.
What is dating versus relationship? Ooh. Ooh.
I feel like that's easier. It's an easy thing to answer. I don't feel like it's that difficult.
Okay. What's the difference?
I think dating is like I'm dating multiple people. I'm getting to know folks. A relationship is that I decide to exclusively date or be in a relationship with this one person. And at the moment, we were in a relationship and I didn't want to be anymore.
Wait, you said it has to be exclusive, so you have to exclusively be dating someone.
I think if that's the kind of relationship that you desire, like if you're monogamous and you want to be in a relationship with one person, then that's what you do. But if you're not monogamous and you want to have more than one girlfriend, I think that's fine too. I just think that people have to know what they want. And I also find that I think society and culture has made it real taboo to want to break up with somebody, or made it this very taboo thing, being unhappy in a relationship. And I was like, well, they've normalized being unhappy in relationships. And I was telling my therapist, I think it makes the most sense to date people. And then when you realize you don't like them, you break up with them. Like, that's a realistic thing. Like, I'm dating you to get to know you. I got to know you and realized I didn't like you. That was literally it. That's like a normal thing. And I think people make it a bigger deal of no, you're just supposed to stick it out. And they only tell women that. They don't tell men that. They'd be like, no, you're just supposed to stick it out, and being unhappy in a relationship is normal. I was like, that's not normal.
I like, so what if you're dating over a longer period? So you just talked about you were long distance, right? So what if that dating period goes on for 6 months, and it's been 6 months when someone asks, so who are you talking to right now? You've been saying it's this one guy. That doesn't count as a relationship? That's just still dating for a while?
No, that's still dating for me. I date people for 6 to 8 months all the time. I'm not quick to jump in relationships. And I had been dating that person for probably 8-9 months before we got in a relationship. And I told him no the first time. So it was definitely a long dating period. I like to take my time getting to know people. And I feel like just because you've known someone for multiple months doesn't mean you've been dating them for multiple months doesn't mean you know them. We didn't hang out every day. I maybe saw him once a week. We didn't talk a ton because he has to go to bed at 8 p.m. because he get up for work at 4 a.m. So we only talk on the weekends, really. Very surface level conversation, except for like when we're talking in person or hanging out in person. So I also feel like that can have an impact too. Like sometimes if I'm talking to someone who's available all the time, then I get to know them a lot quicker. So it might not be that long of a time. It might be like 5 or 6 months. But sometimes I've dated somebody for 9 months before I was like, I might be in a relationship with them. I'm like not a quick, like quick to get in relationships. I'm very much a slow burner, like trying to figure out how I want to do things.
I see the star comment from Devin. I think that was getting at what you were saying.
Yeah, I think Devin explained it really well. Dating is a process of courtship and getting to know someone. Relationship is agreeing to a type of commitment that's mutually decided. Yeah.
So I think that makes sense. Then there's like an overlap period where you're dating someone and in a relationship, right? Or you're constantly courting that person, so you could see it as both at the same time. That makes sense.
Yeah. Aaliyah asks, how do you break up with someone you're dating? I thought getting to know someone was the talking stage. I think it depends because I've talked to someone for weeks before I went on a date with them. I feel like that's a talking stage. I also feel like, especially millennials, we came up with a whole bunch of new terms for stuff that we really shouldn't have because it just confuses people. But I was in a relationship with this person, so I wasn't just dating them. Like we were in a relationship because he is non-monogamous, but I'm not. So he wants to have more than one girlfriend. I'm not interested in being non-monogamous, and so I knew that eventually I probably would break up with him. But that was not the reason that led to the breakup. I think that once you get to know somebody past surface level, you do realize that you just don't like things about them. And I just didn't like that he's a very generic person. Like there wasn't much depth there. And I didn't know if there was any depth there because I didn't get to like explore that for a while. So when I had things come up that require you to have more depth in conversations beyond like generic positive, it'll be okay type of shit, I just realized I didn't like it. So yeah. What do you think, Geechee?
About which part? Said a lot.
What do you think about dating versus relationships? How long did you date your girlfriend before y'all got in a relationship?
Um, so you just asked two questions again. Uh, so first, I think based off of what you've been saying, it sounds like everybody just use it interchangeably, and I don't really understand what people are saying between courting, dating, and relationship. I think there's no way to determine what is the right way or what is. I think everybody has their own processes. I think you should connect with people and find out mutual interests and have a mutually consenting interaction, and then and move on. That's my answers.
You said mutually a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there's a lot of one-sided shit that's going on. You know, somebody could be dating somebody and the other person don't have the same experience in the process, and so if it's not mutually, as they say, consensus building, then you're pretty much in a situationship that seems to be very popular these days.
Yeah, the situationship things. I agree with there's a bunch of different terms for stuff. Talking stage, situationship, courtship, all of these things. So yeah, I'm with Geechee. Mutual understanding. Do we both have the same definition when we say words? Which is something we've been talking about on Remix for the past few weeks. Like words mean things. And if two people say a word and it means two different things in their mind, then that's just a recipe for disaster. So that's why I see a lot of issues in relationships. And then, of course, there's the thing where you can say something and then do the opposite. So there's liberalism there where you do the opposite of what you say. But generally, I agree. People don't say and mean the same thing.
Yeah, they don't. But yeah, I was excited about it because I feel like I hadn't had a chance to talk to him because I kind of wanted to break up with him a little while ago, but I hadn't had time to talk to him. So I thought it went fine though. I also think that when Geechee was talking about like things being mutual, I will say that's one thing I've experienced with people who are non-monogamous is that they are actually great communicators and great at making sure folks feel like they're on the same page. And I do think that that's one of the qualities I like about it. But I also feel like sometimes once you get to a certain point, then it's kind of like, yeah, because I would never marry this person. I would never be in like a long-term relationship with them. So it just made sense to break up with them.
Have y'all ever seen ethical non-monogamy depicted in any sort of like black media before in a normal way, not even super positive, but just like as a not bizarre or unhealthy relationship? Because I don't think I've ever seen that. That becomes my thing a lot of times with relationship models is it's what you see and what's normalized around you. But I don't think I think of media where like, you know, being poly or being non-monogamous isn't played up as like some messy cheating shit. Only example I think of recently is like Insecure, and then immediately he like violates all the things that poly people aren't supposed to do, like won't give homegirl her apartment keys back, having sex with his wife in another room over, like all sorts of just crazy nightmarish shit that people believe. But I don't think I ever get to see it. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen it another way.
I think I'll be interested to see what transpires from Brian Kobla's book, Free Love Politic and all these other things. But I think there's a hyper focus on monogamy as selling the correct way, or non-monogamy as selling the correct way. So I see people are trying to sell other people polygamous relationships online. I'm like, if you're polygamous, then you're polygamous. I don't know that you would have to promote it and convince everybody this is a natural way, and the vice versa. So I don't really see generative conversations. And then back to this, you know, every time somebody gives this what they seem to be analysis is their lived experience, but it's always positioned as an analysis. So as to Stephen's point, is that generally true? Poly people better communicators? It's like a wild statement, because it's like maybe you're not even talking to monogamous people because they're in a committed relationship and they're not really having that type of conversation with you. So yeah, it's just like I've seen whoever's speaking are hyper concerned with trying to convince other people to navigate the same way that they currently are navigating. So maybe to answer your question in short, like I can't say that I've been looking for it, and can't say that I've communicate with the algorithms in a way that it comes on my timeline more than I would want. But yeah, I haven't seen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that when I said that, I wasn't saying that I feel like monogamous folks aren't good communicators. I think that the over communication is something I experience a lot within. I've only dated 3 people who are poly, but within those experiences, they were very big about over communicating. And I think because I have ADHD, I really like over communicating because I want to understand clearly what people are thinking or doing. So I think it's just something that I like. But I mean, I've dated a lot of monogamous people, and they actually did struggle with communication a little bit. It's one I'm talking to right now. He's like, he had to like purposely increase like his communication because he doesn't want me to stop talking to him. And so he's like making an effort to communicate more. But I think that people make efforts or time for what they want. And so he knows that I don't like bad communication. So he's making sure that he communicates better. But I have experienced that, like the over communication thing, a lot with people who are not monogamous.
Yeah. I see a great comment from Josh M in the chat that was similar to what I was about to say. So if we could just highlight that. Josh M says, poly folks have to communicate their position because it's outside of norms, but I don't care if that makes them good at communicating. It's initially just a necessity. So I was going to say that that's a possibility. I agree with Geechee, like generalizations like that can be rough. But I do think if you ever have a non-hegemonic position, you're kind of used to explaining because you've already lived through the normal one, and then living a way that like aligns with how you want to move. So I think a lot of people have already gone through the fact that they were socialized to be monogamous, even if they're poly. And then after they realize, wait, I'm not monogamous, they've had to explain to themselves why that makes sense. And then get used to explaining it to partners. So I think that's possibly why.
And sometimes I think, I guess I'm trying to look at, I don't know if it's anthropology or what, but like human history and then like the current phase that we're in. And it's almost like, you ever seen like babies when they learn a new word, they like say the word and they just kind of like they just loosely just use the words. I think, and I don't know if this is a fully developed thought, but so I've been in a conversation recently and we talked around like culture, right? And trying to build a particular culture in this environment. And all know this Safia Bakari and Mao and whoever else said no investigation, no right to speak. Somebody said that was a masculine thing to do. And I was like, it's interesting because I thought a masculine thing to do would be to overreact without knowing all of the facts and actually get violent. And it would seem, if we were going to put it in gender terms, it seemed like if we're saying that the feminine is the most responsible, that sounds like the most responsible thing to do. So it's just like, at this point,
don't agree. I think actually the masculine thing you described is actually a characteristic a lot of people have. It's not a masculine response. Like
what I think that's my point though. It's like, who the fuck is subscribing? What part is masculine? What's feminine? And like, is it all positive, masculine, negative? Like, I'm just like, so I think
I don't like gender roles because I don't think they're realistic.
Yeah, I think, of course, that becomes like a Rorschach test. Everyone's like guessing what they think is feminine and masculine. Like the way I hear it, Geechee, is that person is saying the matter-of-fact nature of it and the way it's used to cut somebody off might feel like what a man does. But at the same time, to your point, like it's about studying and being detail-oriented, the kind of thing that we stereotype women for being. So yeah, it's going to be.
I think that women do that more actually, but people just don't know because we don't talk about it. Because one thing about men, y'all messy. Y'all talk too damn much. Most of the women I know be doing ruthless shit. They just don't say nothing. They don't want to get caught up.
Listen, again, we all gonna just go back and forth with a bunch of stereotypes that contradict each other. Like that's how this goes, right?
I think
like,
that all folks can be messy. I'm just joking about the men being messy thing, but I do think
course.
that I have experienced men being real messy, and I just think that it's always interesting to me because people think women gossip a lot, and I was like, no, I think that we all do because men can be very messy. It's my favorite type of mess, actually.
Well, yeah, that's absolutely true. What I'm thinking with Geechee's thing is just like, I think the person automatically kind of thought of a situation in which that quote gets employed. Like I could see a man in a study circle if someone brings up something that they're not super familiar with, but like, what about this theory or something, or what about feminism? That tends to be a big thing. And they ask for like a feminist thing. And then I could see someone in a study group being like, that's not our line, or that's not materialist, or whatever the hell. And they're like, well, why do you say that? And then someone says, no investigation, no right to speak. Like I could easily see that being a patriarchal person in a study session and how they act. But again, like Geechee said, I've also heard women say that before. Like my elders in this movement who I've talked to have directly said that quote. So again, like you said, Safia Bakari is the one who said it.
Yeah,
so at this point,
and many other people, but I think especially as it relates to like indictments or accusations, right? In the time of, and one of the conflicts that I was kind of thinking through is like, yeah, we about to go to Curb Fest. And Curb Fest is centered around political prisoners. And there's tons of political prisoners. At least some of their charges, as trumped up as it is, like you could put it on thing and be like, this, the judge or the person or the state says this happened. And in spaces where you're asking people to kind of like, okay, if there's an accusation, you should be able to speak to your understanding of the accusation, as opposed to saying, well, I'm not sure, whatever. That's masculine to give all the details. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, no, it's like if something is said, then there should be clearly say this is what's said, this is whatever, and then there should be some type of I don't know, arbitration, liberation, mediation, something, as opposed to like throwing people away based off of something that can't even be delivered to them. And I'm just, so I'm thinking like, again, when we throw masculine and feminine in those terms, I'm just like, what the fuck are we talking about at this point?
To me, it's that what you're describing is liberal identity politics, like literally the liberal version of the thing that everyone misquotes from Call Me Hero Collective. But to me, that exactly feels like the DEI kind of gold rush, where people were talking about this thing called white supremacy culture. If anybody's been in any of those training sessions or seen around 2020, you know what I'm talking about. And it would be all this ridiculous gaslighting nonprofit shit about how showing up to meetings on time is white supremacy culture, how reading is a white supremacy culture, how having laws or principles of unity or things that you agree to is white supremacy culture. So again, I can see how in certain contexts, white people have employed those things to oppress us, especially in like the workplace and things like that. But when we're talking about movement work, showing up on time isn't white supremacy culture. So I feel the same way about saying no investigation or right to speak is masculine or sexist or is a male thing. Like it's just, it's not rooted in anything. So
Yeah.
I guess. I think the most important thing that we discussed here is that I broke up with that nigga, and I'm so excited about it. And I'm gonna make sure I screenshot the other National Guard jokes that I be seeing because they actually are really good. and somebody posted something about the National Guard coming here and like some jokes, and some girl from the news commented and was like laughs in Memphis, and then a whole bunch of people went to a page and they was like, "You're not even from Memphis," and they came back and then she deleted her comment. I said, "I don't know why you tried Memphians. We will bully you because why would you say that? You're not even from here." It was weird. She was weird. Oh, if we're talking about news though, do the little thing, Lord. Transition us.
oh yeah, well, you just did it perfectly. I was about to say what we got on the news. Did we slap the map? It's that perfect time to transition out of relationship talk into a little bit of news. Want to slap the map, Amber?
I'm
Got
finding
it. We
it.
got to find the.
I'm finding it. I'm finding it.
What's up?
Her girl finger would not let her find that thing.
Wouldn't.
Go over there.
What's up, Remix? Amber, tell us what's in the news. What we got going on?
Okay,
National,
I just want to talk about. Oh, this ain't national; it's local. But I just want to talk about how this Fox 13 reporter ran someone over and killed them in a fatal car accident where she left the scene. And this is crucially important because Fox 13 is the main news station here that's always reporting on nothing but crime. Always trying to make Memphis seem like this super scary city to be in. And this same girl who ran this lady over and killed them was his main person doing investigative stories at Fox 13 about crime and like trying to make like just really sensationalizing it. And then she go out and commit a crime. She done ran somebody over on a motorcycle, left them for dead, and then turned herself in like days later. And they didn't even want to report on it or even show her mugshot or nothing. They put this bullshit ass article up here. And I just think that karma is a motherfucker. And you can't be out here treating people, especially folks who live here, like shit and putting our stuff on Front Street and making sure that people know that so-and-so got arrested for this and posting our mugshots and thinking that people ain't gonna put you on Front Street too. So now she's going viral like on Facebook and stuff, people posting her mugshot. But I just think that you can't do harm to Black folks and then think that like they're gonna respect your privacy in something, because it's not what happened. I can't find the mugshot of her right now, but I don't think she's Black. I think she is mixed. She looks white, very white passing. Her name is Kayla Solomon, and she made a U-turn on Central. You're not supposed to make U-turns on the street. It's a very busy street. There is a no U-turn sign. She made a U-turn and she hit a car. Her car hit a motorcycle, and they were traveling in the same direction, and the guy died. But he was alive when the ambulance came. But she left. She hit him and left.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, she hit that man and left him for dead. And I just think that, people should get called out for the things that they do. So I just want to talk about that story real quick. Also, I know people were wanting to ask questions about the National Guard thing. And I was going to say, if they want to put questions in the chat, I can answer them with the information that I have. I don't want to post any of the stories because they don't really have any information in them, or they're just Trump lying. And the narrative scale situation that's happening here is all over the place. They're saying one thing one day, then they say they're doing another thing, then they have a press conference with the governor, and the governor saying this, and the governor saying, like, no one is on the same page with each other. So I think it just confuses people.
Yeah, I'm open for questions in the chat. On that last person, that's just wow. She was about to go report on it too. She would have been on the news talking about there was a hit and run on this street. Ran away, no evidence, no clue. Blood on her bumper. Wow.
No, literally blood on her bumper.
So who in the community has been talking about this story? I know sometimes these things go super viral very quickly.
Everybody's been talking about it. I would say like most of Black Memphis, and there's people who she has harmed by highlighting like stories of like their loved ones being in jail and their bond being changed and other stuff. And she's done like these long investigative stories on their families where like this person has remained in jail because of the impact of her news stories. And so a lot of those families have been speaking out like, nah, don't try to hide her mugshot now, because y'all wasn't hiding my brother mugshot who was falsely accused of something, but now they didn't raise his bail because you're making him seem like such a hardened criminal. No, let's not do that. So I think that that's the most important thing that I'm seeing is like people holding her accountable for her behavior, for how she treated them and the experience that she's going through. Because I'm sure nobody wants their mugshot, except for me, because my mugshot was cute. But nobody wants their mugshots out there. Like nobody wants their business on Front Street. I get it. But she did it all the time to people. So, you know, karma. And someone in the chat asked, was she on the job? She wasn't. It was after hours. She wasn't at work.
Well deserved. Well deserved. Chickens and roosting and whatnot.
Steven said that's why you need at least 2 local news stations. We have like 6. I just want to say we have what, Channel 3, Fox 13, Channel 5, ABC 24, and there's one other one I can't think of. We have like 5 news stations here, and they're all doing the same sensationalized crime reporting. So, yeah.
Any questions in the chat yet for Amber on Memphis? Or you want to just start talking about any updates?
Let me try to find the mugshot since y'all said y'all want to see it. Yeah. She looks sad in that, John Doe. I know that. Oh, I found it. Okay. Oh, I see. The other news stations posted it. The one that she was at didn't want to post
the enemy news. That's funny.
Yeah, it's the enemy news. That's her.
She
look like a white woman, right?
That might have a little African in there. Might have been
like a little bit, but yeah, that's her. I also think it's interesting that she wasn't charged with a felony, because a hit and run is technically a felony here. But I said, interesting.
It is interesting, yo.
And she 29, and she had a warrant. But that's her. She was making a U-turn in a Ford Fiesta. That she knows she can't make no U-turns in the cars. Have y'all seen a Ford Fiesta? It's so little. You should not be making U-turns in those. Geechee, what do you think?
I don't.
Why?
I don't know enough about the story. I mean, I immediately, when you was talking about it, I started thinking about laws around vehicular manslaughter. It's only, especially in Charleston. So my best friend who was killed by a white boy who hit him, because he stayed on the scene, there was no conversation around vehicular manslaughter. It's only for when you leave the scene, which can be very coded to why Black people are more likely to leave a scene in the situation of hitting somebody than white folks who are comfortable with the police interaction. And this particular person had all type of shit that was just wrong about the time. And so, yeah, I just immediately started thinking about, is there laws around the vehicular manslaughter and then them being comfortable staying, I'm not staying, but leaving the scene, and then what does that constitute in terms
Yeah.
of legality there?
Yeah, that's a good point. Geechee, they asked if you in your feelings today. Are you okay?
Well, I'm on this camera, and none of y'all really give a fuck about what I got going on, so I don't want to talk about anything I got.
Well, I care.
Anyway,
but not on camera.
yeah,
We don't have to do.
that was the operative word. So if you care, you would have heard.
We're gonna do it all.
I'm just saying in general that I do care. I don't want you to
Did,
tell the people.
has the well? I'm about to transition us to this next story because it was something that got brought up this week as something to discuss on BLM. But related to this story, is there any discussion about the victim? Like, is the family pursuing anything? Has there been any news
I
coverage?
haven't seen anything from his family. I've only seen stuff from the victims of like her stories that she's done before.
Mhm.
But I haven't seen anything from their family yet. Like my friends told me that someone knew the guy, like in our official BLM Memphis chapter, but they haven't like posted anything. So when they do, I got you. I also think it's crazy. She only 29. You done ruined your life before you even 30.
Yeah.
But also the fact that she's 29 and she's been doing like harmful reporting like this at such a young age, like she probably would have kept going and gotten even worse.
That's the point. Like Amber, Charlie Kirk was our age. I point that out about our story. Like he started when I was in high school / like starting undergrad. So like, yeah, they get these people, these robots, basically super young. I think Candace Owens started off like they basically pick them out of college campuses, just like the CIA picks their agents, and then just mold them into these things. So I agree. She was probably on that career trajectory. She did look, like I wouldn't call that person passing. Someone said that's Kaylani. That's funny. Or that she looked like Elle Varner. But regardless, she's been doing some harmful work. That discussion of the victims, I wanted to transition to this story about Trey Reed. I wanted to ask how much y'all have heard about it, and then maybe start with this video here about the family and a statement, I believe, from their attorney, Vanessa Jones.
I've heard a lot about the story. I've been following it, so I'm down to whatever you want to show, Lord.
Yeah, I dropped it in the chat.
Okay.
So we can hear the attorney's statement. So there's a young Black man found hanging from a tree on the campus of Delta State University. Details are still unfolding about what happened.
Please proceed with caution because there will be consequences for this.
Hattiesburg, Mississippi attorney Vanessa Jones speaking out Tuesday as family of 21-year-old Demartravian Trey Reed listened quietly in the Grenada church Reed attended. The freshman at Delta State University found dead Monday morning hanging from a tree on campus. Monday, just hours after Reed was found, the university announced.
At this time, there's no evidence of foul play.
Reed's family outraged after Bolivar County Coroner Randolph Seals Jr. issued this statement, quote, based on the preliminary examination, we can confirm that the deceased did not suffer any lacerations, contusions, compound fractures, broken bones, or injuries consistent with an assault. At this time, there is no evidence to suggest the individual was physically attacked before his death, end quote. Attorney Jones says DSU is leaving the Reed family in the dark.
We need answers. As of this point, the family of Trey Reed has not even received a phone call from the president of Delta State University and to tell them exactly what happened to their child that they entrusted to Delta State University.
Jones says the truth of what happened Monday should be easy to find.
Because if this young man was on the campus of Delta State University with all these cameras and all this modern technology, from the moment he left his dorm room or entered that campus, there should be surveillance of all of his actions. And that's what we want.
So that's the update from the family's attorney. I'm not sure how y'all heard about this story. I read the news, and my first thought was just I don't have enough information. I know it was a desire for us to cover it immediately, but I just had a lot of questions. We're seeing the coroner say that there was no broken arms or legs or lacerations, but then there was a story that witnesses who claim they saw the body said there were broken arms and legs.
Mm-hmm.
So now we already have a crisis between whether the coroner is telling the truth or covering up, or whether these witnesses are to be trusted or were sensationalizing or making stuff up. So I was a little confused by that, but some of the things that the lawyer said didn't shock me, but they're disgusting and they make sense. The president of the school not calling the family at all is unacceptable. And I also asked this question because we're going to get into, propaganda and all these things, but all they're going to usually say when this kind of stuff happens is we need more campus security. We need more things to keep people surveilled on campus. Where's the footage? I'm completely lost on that one. So that was the thing that blew my mind, regardless of if you want to go into the things that take independent investigation, like the coroner, like all that information. Y'all record everything on these campuses. And there's just a body hanging, and it's just no video, no call to the parents, nothing. That's the kind of world we're living in. So
yeah, I for sure was like they bullshitting. There's definitely camera footage, and I'm glad that they have a lawyer that's suing, that's not being crump. And
did you see the thing though? Hold on.
I know like he's helping or something, but he never is actually like on those cases because he's not an attorney licensed in those states. So he's just partnering with an attorney. But I also saw several folks who were at the school saying that his legs were broken. They was like, how do you hang yourself with 2 broken legs? I said, exactly.
Yep. I saw someone who said they were his cousin, who's talking about their own experience with a white supremacist on campus, playing victim and reporting him for a hate crime when he was the victim, and he had to go through a process with the campus of proving that this racist was racist. So again, I'm not surprised. He says there were other issues with Delta State University. There's been campus activism. There's often campus activism everywhere, right? But that's because all these universities are racist. But this one in particular, there's too many question marks. Fame Us says, where are the 911 calls? Yeah, I'd be very curious about that. Shout out Launder and Black Rage to Black and Russell's analysis, because as you said, Amber, it does look like there's a different attorney, but the Clarion Ledger also reported that Ben Crump will lead the civil rights investigation to Trey's death. So there's an industry out of this. You're always going to have a Ben Crump or an Al Sharpton kind of descend onto any of these moments and then attach themselves. So not the best. The family was asking for us to, monitor the story and keep the family in our prayers and things of that nature. But any other thoughts that we have so far?
GG.
Yeah, I think so I don't know how true it was on social media that was 2 different people. I think I saw somebody posted and it was like, well, the old story was late. And I think I agree in terms of, like, I know there's an argument that the cameras are on campus, but there's secluded areas that's not as cameraed. But to Amber's point, even if that is true, there are multiple cameras that can see you walking at some point into the non-camera space. And yeah, I think
the non-covered area,
however you want to call it. Yeah, I think so this is interesting, and I feel like obviously both of these stories have a reaction to me, because again, even before I lost my best friend to being hit by a car, my cousin was found hanging in the yard of his I guess ex-wife or whatever. One morning they wake up, and then it's also the argument of like, well, he, whatever he was dealing with, he went to go do it himself. And so I just can imagine the scramble of people trying to figure out how the fuck in this time something like this happens. So yeah, I can imagine the family, the circus of people's reactions and medias and conspiracies and all this other shit that happens. And yeah, like yeah. So I relate to that those family, and if there are two men who I guess obviously the other person's name is not as published right now, but if there are two men, like I can imagine what both of those families would.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that again, Geechee, if this makes you think of those events. But yeah, story weighs pretty heavy. This is the kind of thing that, of course, people are asking, why isn't it national news? In that sense, why isn't it getting the same level of attention as we know the Kirk shooting and things of that nature? So always frustrating.
Yeah.
If you wanted to move on, Amber, to the next segment, we could either talk about more on the Kirk thing, our favorite doctor and his take, or we could jump into our Gavin Newsom thing, why definitions matter. So I'm gonna let you choose our destiny.
That's wild. I just wanted to reply to Geechee's comments and say that I think most people always, will be like, a Black person definitely didn't hang themselves. And the fact that they still think that we will fall for some shit like that is crazy to me, because first of all, whether or not they were Black or not, any person, there's no way they can hang themselves outside from a tree, like with nothing around them. There's no chair nearby. Like, there's no way they did that. That's just not physically possible. I think we should talk about the Gavin Newsom thing, because I want to talk about his fake teeth, because he got bad veneers.
Okay, yeah, you got bad veneers. Let's do it. So
also just want to say I have a doctor's appointment, so I gotta leave at 8:15.
Okay, cool. Well, there's two things then. If you can bring them up on the Summer Jam screen, we got the Newsom thing. I've been putting the E at the end of this, man.
It's crazy.
I've been messing it up. But if you could bring up the Newsom thing, and then there's another resource that I just dropped in the chat for us to go over.
Of course, because
right. So this was, if you pause it real quick, because I know it's gonna, or wait till it restarts. But everyone, this is Gavin Newsom, somebody who's probably going to be putting his hat in for the Democratic candidate for president in the next election cycle. And yeah, he's pretty garbage. He looks like Matthew McConaughey, I guess, is everyone's appeal. We want another shitty Bill Clinton in the 2020s. And he's talking here about Trump. And so we've been saying why definitions matter, why our enemies will use certain terms that have different meanings as a way to confuse the public. So this is a great example of him on the Pivot podcast talking about socialism. So I wanted to play that. I think it's about to loop over one more time, so you can unmute it right about now, essentially. Yep.
The hostility to him is quite high, correct?
Yeah, of course, because of some of his, well, for obvious reasons, some of his views. And there's a lot of anxiety around those views. And they could be on issues related to domestic policy as it relates to, socializing, grocery stores, et cetera. It could be on national policy.
Trump Intel, the comparison is very obvious that you just made.
Yeah, no, I
correct.
And we need to make that point over and over and over. I mean, I remember, wasn't Jeff Bezos out there yelling and screaming that Biden doesn't understand, capitalism? I mean, this guy is completely perverted capitalism, Donald Trump. It's crony capitalism. It's whatever, you pay him off, give him a phone call. I mean, these illegal tariffs, which we're also in court on, all the things that are happening in this country, it's just perverse that they could be shaping the Democratic Party in the context of the socialist brand, when in fact, this guy is the leading nationalist and socialist of our time, Donald Trump.
So, remember when we talked about the Nazis, Amber? And I said, why does it matter that we defend socialism from right-wing definitions? That's why. So why do you think he said that Donald Trump is a nationalist and a socialist? He didn't just say a socialist, which is already funny. Why a nationalist and a socialist, Amber? What did we learn? Who were the national socialists?
Because of the Nazi thing.
Yes, so he's dog whistling. He's dog whistling. He's
Now he
making
dog whistling like the white, like the
yeah,
Republicans be doing.
they all anti-communist dog whistle. So everything
Yeah.
bad is socialist, but he's doing a special thing about nationalists. Of course, not black nationalist socialists, like plenty of people in our revolutionary history, like Huey Newton, for example, right? He's talking about National Socialism, which was the far right takeover of the Socialist Party in Germany. Just like Mussolini started off pretending to be a socialist until he became a fascist leader in Italy. So we have to know why they're doing this. And this is why I don't like, I don't know if y'all have heard these phrases and how useful you find them, but I think when we have mass propaganda and confusion around the term, that trying to like rebrand it isn't always the best. So I hear stuff like socialism for the rich is what America has. America has socialism. It just has socialism for the rich. I'm like, that's not socialism. And I also think that's very bad for people. I think it confuses people who
It's
already
not good rhetoric.
All right. So that's the definition. So that's why Newsom is saying Trump is a socialist, and Trump is going to say that Newsom's a radical leftist. And then all of our people kind of watching this are going to be confused about words and what they mean. So just wanted to point out that story.
I mean, Trump was on. I think these two things. There's this constant attempt for people to like merge in front of illiterate people definitions of whatever. Like, so it just further confuses people. Trump was also calling Kamala a socialist when he said
Kamala.
Comrade Harris and Comrade Biden. So that was constant. But I do organize for and pray for the day when we can sit there and talk about why these people are weak ass and what policies they have and what policies that we recommend. So I long for the day where you can be like, this is how Gavin Newsom looks at climate and energy. He's either for or against private utilities. This is how Gavin Newsom looks at housing. Like, for instance, homeless encampments, he's clearing them shits up. He's not having any other alternatives for them, or public safety. This is how Gavin Newsom, like, I can't wait for a conversation like that for all these people, as opposed to just like, I don't like this nigga, he do this or da. And that way we get to kind of really talk about socialism and capitalism and all that other stuff. But other than that, we just like talking about people.
Yeah, I would love to talk about his policies around gas, and because the folks who I know in Cali don't like him, and a lot of it's because of the stuff that he's vetoed, a lot of stuff he pushes against around like the use of gas and coal and other stuff. Like, they want more like renewable resources, better like solar energy options because of like all of the climate crisis stuff that's happening there. And he is pushed back against a lot of times. And he pushed back against some union stuff one time. I pay attention to the state legislature more than anything. That's what he vetoes from. And he vetoed some stuff around unions before. He vetoed some stuff that was like harmful to workers' rights. Like, he's not a good governor. But for folks who are not there, he just seems like this, Democratic governor who's this great guy. So I definitely think we should dive into some of his policy stuff.
I agree.
Also, I'm gonna be right back. My dog is acting weird. So
go for it. I was gonna say, Geechee, you just gave us some homework. We could do that here. Just, I think, keeping it narrow on 3 things you listed: climate, housing, and public safety. So that's definitely something we can do in the future. Because the policies themselves are terrible, and the idealist way media portrays things is just by their essence, right? So California is a blue state, so he must be blue and liberal. This is a red state, it must be conservative. No kind of nuance, no kind of relationships between policy and practice and stuff like that. So definitely be down.
This is why one of the reasons why I appreciated Maynard Jackson's attempt or even idea of a black card for these people running for office, and they'll have 10 to 20 policies that directly impact black folks. These people will vote yes or no on their support of it, and in a block fashion on a way to political power, which I guess Maynard wouldn't have concluded. We would have more block voting and folks not really focused on pigment, people, parties, personalities, and be like, how do you stand on these policies? And that way we'll see Gavin with his whatever his number might be 5, out of 100. So
yeah, some sort of standard that people can recognize and use to judge candidates is needed, and judge them on something material, as you're pointing out, not vibes, not how they market themselves. I know there's been various attempts at that throughout history, but obviously they're shut down and repressed because they'd be useful to Black people. So I had something we could
I
get
just want to add one thing to what Geisha was saying.
Yeah.
So we actually have the People's Convention here, which is similar to what you're talking about, what Maynard was talking about, where like Black folks come together to like basically interview candidates on the specific Black agenda that we have, and then they say whether or not they, will honor the people's agenda or not. And then if they're elected, if they win, we have a People's Convention the next year, like holding them accountable to the things they promised they would do. And we just had that like a few weeks ago here, the one for folks who've been elected. But it's because of this People's Convention thing that happened like in the 70s, where we got our first Black mayor. There was like all these people running. I think it was like 20 plus people running, and they came together and had a People's Convention to select one person they were all going to go vote for in a block based off them agreeing to this agenda. And I have never seen it work as well as it worked in that first time. I think it's really hard to replicate stuff sometimes, especially when it's like nominal things like this will be the first Black mayor, right? Like all the Black people came together to make sure that we got a Black person in no matter what, but that Black person had to agree to this Black agenda. I have not seen it replicated well since then.
Yeah, I think Maynard's idea was a smidget of idea, wasn't his larger political strategy, and that idea is connected to a larger political movement. So it's not like a once you get somebody in with the score, oh, we good, but it's like a larger and kind of to your point, political power means that you can wield the political power. So if somebody's not doing what you say, you have a particular critical mass of people that you could move in a particular direction. And then obviously, as we think about organizing and all the other things that we say we are doing, like we start to begin to understand what non-reforms reforms actually mean as a place of like, this is not, you're not going to voting revolution or vote in socialism, but there's a way to tactically organize people who are unpoliticized and unpolitically sophisticated because they already participate in this arena. And again, remember this some kind of rally against Andre Dickens, and people were like, he's shitting. He said something about a Negro, head charge nigga, something whatever. And then when the question and answer part happened, it was like, okay, well, Andre's bad too. Who should we vote for? And they was like, I don't know. Maybe you can run. And I'm like, but again, that's the moment
you have to have a solution for folks. You can't just say don't vote for them. That's why I honestly did not weigh in much on the conversation about Andre running for mayor again, because no one's running against him. And weighing in would be people being like, well, who should I vote for? I don't fucking know, because won't nobody run against him. Even though y'all all complain about him being mayor and say that he's a horrible mayor, but then you don't recruit anybody to run against him. So, I'll let people have it. I don't live there. So I'm going to worry about my shit, and I'm going to support what y'all want to support. Y'all saying y'all don't want to support him, but nobody ran against him, so.
The electoral politics struggle in general, especially without a party, is rough. But I feel the same, Amber.
If you had a party, what would be your party?
I think we need an independent party, whatever that's going to look like. So I'll come more prepared to answer that question in the future. But I will say that immediately what I see as useful from Maynard and what Geeche's talking about here is for our organizers. It's just a way to challenge legitimacy of certain strategies that we get, especially from more liberal organizations that are going to push people toward the Democratic Party, push people toward voter registration and these kind of liberal politics. I think something like a Black Card is a way to challenge within our own organizing context some of these ideas, because some people kind of present these ideas as if they're just the way forward. That's the whole lesser two evils nonsense we got to deal with every single time. And if you actually have something material to challenge them with, like, well, this is this black card and this person's got a 5 out of 100, right? Then we can bring something before the community and be like, hey, you look at the black card, this is what the community has demanded, and this is what this person's offering. Like, why are you giving this person your vote? To me, that's the immediate use of it. We have a similar thing in Miami where we canvassed 10,000 people and created a black agenda. And I talk about this campaign a lot because I actually don't think it's super revolutionary, right? You're just going to ask a bunch of people what they need, and we already know what our people need. You know, all colonized people say it: pan tierra libertad, like we need bread, food, housing, freedom. So we do this survey, 10,000 people. The residents basically say what we expect. They want affordable housing. They want government accountability, which meant no police murders and all sorts of crazy corruption that we deal with in Miami. They want youth programming, right? Stuff that we expect. So to Geechee's point, I'm like, okay, we have 10,000 black people that we asked in Miami. No one else has done that. We now can create some sort of black card or some sort of scoring mechanism to say, these are the 5 things people wanted. There's a mayoral race coming up. What is your take on these 5 things if you're a mayoral candidate? I think that's useful. And a lot of times I don't see that at our, community organizing level.
Yeah, I think to Goddard's point, they said, I think we can't stay stuck on you didn't tell me who to vote for, but rather we shouldn't get people to understand that. I mean, we should get people to understand that they shouldn't be voting for individuals anyway. They should vote their interests. Yep. And I think that's one of the reasons why one of the methods that we are attempting to use here is not only have policies laid out and people's pain points communicated in policies, organize your political education efforts around that, so that people can understand how things work, why things are not happening. And to me, it seems like you would get a better outcome of tailoring things to people's interests, as opposed to just throwing shit at them, like, whatever you're teaching people in these PEs.
Yup.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Amber, I know you got to go soon. I dropped the resource in the chat. I'm going to drop it in the main chat too, if you want to pull it up on the screen, because this is how my brain works. So I had to organize this into something we can use.
I don't see anything in the
private chat. And I just dropped it in the live. Oh no, I dropped it in the private too, under Newsom.
This nigga that made a glossary. This is too much.
I sure did. Someone asked me for the definitions. I had to leave a long comment. Now I'm just dropping the link.
That's too much.
I didn't delete it.
I did. Oh, my bad.
In the chat.
Yeah,
yeah.
My bad. I thought you put it in the wrong chat. My bad.
No, good. I'll put it back.
Not you deleted it.
Hey, all right. So we use a lot of terms. We had a lot of references to what these words mean and meaning what we say. So with some of my comrades,
you be having too much time on your hands. You don't put resources in there too.
It's not too much time. Trust. This is just my brain. This is all old work. I'm just making it new. So
not you repurposing stuff you made for your job.
So if we go through as we go through, we say these words. We say these terms. I see people in the chat mad about my definitions. Oh well. So if you want to know what
why
words
they mad about your definitions?
Because it's too much structure. It's too much structure. People
don't like organization.
They like that chaos.
Well, aren't they in organizations?
No, who? You know these people?
I'm saying some of the people that's in here.
Chat the organizers, they just trolling. So this is a term based on our discussion so far, based on the resources we've been doing since I've been doing my substitute stint on. Yes, Elon, the highest praise from Elon in the chat. Josh Lorick is AKA Renee #2. That is high praise. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't see the complaints, but
shout out Renee. our goat.
Ichi, are you able to put it in the show description?
Yeah, I can go back and edit it.
Okay.
So this is it. Just definitions that we can refer back to, or that I, in my mind, am referring back to. So when I say a word for folks, these are the definitions I'm using. So there's not a lot of confusion. But also the resources. Where in the Remix Morning Show we talked about these things, what sources we're pulling from. So we have Ori's lecture on abolition in here. We have Glenn Ford's article on the Blackness Leadership class, things like that. And these will keep getting filled in and updated each week. But if you're ever wondering what is a liberal, go ahead and check this out. Renee's funny as hell. I'm gonna get there's some work we have to do with Black Liberation Media behind the scenes. I'm on it, Renee. All right. So that was
it's my fault, Renee. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right, DJ. Protect me.
I take that responsibility. My bad. Is it too late?
They calling you Renee Jr.
I'm gonna do it. Is it too late, or should I do it today?
It's not too late. You gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it today, Renee. I'm so sorry.
This is how Renee gets us to do our work as an organization, y'all. That was it. I want to drop the resource.
What video y'all talking about? Nobody asked me to do a video. You know what? That's fine.
I already told you people had already signed up. No, at this point, you're right. You probably could have done one.
I could have done one by now, though. But y'all, you know.
So funny.
Because they know what you're gonna get on there and do. You gonna start talking about them.
You gonna freestyle a little bit like Erica Brown. Erica Brown freestyled the first part.
She gonna say principles of unity, teamwork. Not like that nigga I just broke up with, because that nigga don't be doing
Oh man. Okay.
Geechee, please.
I'm saying that's what your ass would do on the video.
I would not do that. I am a professional. Okay.
Sure.
Principle number 2, dialectical materialism. This one nigga don't got no dialect.
Oh my God.
I would say you niggas don't even know what dialectical materialism is.
I was literally about to say we're gonna have a whole class. Oh man.
I would not say that though.
Oh man. Everett, before you go, can you pull up this Disco Obama segment? Since we're doing Flashback Fridays, we've been watching our parent, Black Liberation Media's parent, Black Agenda TV, right? Our intellectual, political, kind of cultural ancestor, so to speak. So we've been looking at that. Last week, we watched a pilot episode of Black Agenda TV, which was the remix before the remix. We talked about some things that were similar and some things that were different, and how they used to do propaganda. So there was I just dropped the video in the chat at 22:17. There's a Disco Obama segment that I found hilarious.
Okay. I was just saying, this is also the pilot episode, so you want to be on the pilot episode, right?
No, we're gonna be on because me and Geechee did the pilot last week. We're gonna do episode 2.
The video you posted in here is the pilot. It's not.
Yeah, go to 22:17 on that one, because they're gonna do Disco Obama, which is like a art propaganda segment on Obama that I really fuck with. So I wanted to check that out before jumping into episode 2.
Got you. Hold on one second.
Yes, Jason Kukulo, as you pull that up in the chat, says the definition of liberal has changed over time. Absolutely. Me and my comrade, brother, have written about liberalism. And yes, it comes from the Latin root libera, means you're free, but it's actually because they have a slave society. So it was used to distinguish between free men and their pursuits from the pursuits of working servants and slaves. So even from the beginning, liberal had a class function. But yeah, 22:17. So this is their propaganda segment on Obama. Again, this came out in 2012. So we've been talking about how the elders and ancestors of Black Agenda Report were just tip of the spear on this analysis. And I think this shows it.
The Black Agenda television team includes a dynamic people's activist named Sese, who is also the MC of the conscious hip-hop crew Trouble Army out of Phoenix, Arizona. This video creation is called Disco Obama.
I think the vote can only be used as a tool of organization. We can only use the vote to organize our people. Now, to really believe that we can put someone in office and that these people would be responsive to our needs is naive, politically naive. Because even if one of the black candidates who ran for office was to take the office of president, then black people must be prepared to fight against that person. Why? Because, you see, the system mandates the action of the individual. The individual does not determine how this country will function. This country works off the military-industrial complex, which means that it's profitable to wage war. And unless you devise another plan, another scheme to sustain, to boost this economy, then it's going to be necessary to wage war. Whether, a black individual is in office or a white individual is in office. Well, so we're talking about a complete a change in system.
So in love with you.
Now go wake your kids up out of bed. Tell them to show you the disco bomber step. It's the same as before, not a dance you need. Hit the flow and indulge in your apathy. See the spin and the glitter of the disco ball. Obama bouncer, White House club beautiful. America needs a makeover to its image more acceptable. Can jig a step or two, voters hit the flow. Tootsie roll to the post, cause the soul brother might sick the dogs on your disco godfather. Dolomite, Reaganomics was more. He's a manga for war. Or the bomb dropping win awards of the Nobel Prize. But other men ain't half as great. A black man as the president candidate. Sure, not quite, skin is black, you're surprised. Empires, agent old man in black, neuralized. All memories and all legacy get called mongrel. Bomb the continent, he sources self-esteem. Troy Davis, innocent, he let him die. Thanksgiving, turkey, he let electric slide. Disco, mama, can't keep what you did not promise. Disco, mama, can't keep what you did not promise. Now go wake your kids up out of bed, tell them to show you the disco bomber step. It's the same as before, not a dance unique. Hit the flow and indulge in your apathy. No matter if elected emperor is ebony, terrorist deceptive rhetoric is still your enemy. How the struggle conclude with Messiah, teaching the Dougie to Jew genociders. Climatic zones out control, Red Sea. Palestine bulldoze, settled homes, Israeli. Ayanna Jones, 9-year-old, killed in sleep. Very old, sharing cold beer with the police. She's hoping Van, you're insane. Expect Obama change it. Negro protege on Uncle Tom's plantation. Post-racial profiling, every cop engages. Put your hands on your head and spread like a Macarena. If you can't be black, what's the point of voting for them? Plan, distract, manufacture, mission back and recent on. Many paid the cover charge to wait more power. Obama's part of the problem, replace with all power. Disco, Obama, can't keep what you did not promise. Disco, Obama, can't keep what you did not promise. Now go wake your kids up out of bed, tell them to show you the disco bomber step. It's the same as before, not a dance unique. Hit the flow and indulge in your apathy. Disco, ritmo, get mo, ain't close, Negro. Residents not public strength. Disco, ritmo, get mo, ain't close, Negro. Disco, ritmo, get mo, ain't close, Negro. Residents look out for the trains. Disco, ritmo, get mo, ain't close, Negro. Disco, mama, can't keep what you did not promise. Disco, mama, can't keep what you did not promise.
And the interesting thing about the African American experience in this country is that we are sort of a mongrel people. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're all kind of mixed up. Yeah.
How do you be finding this stuff?
Woo, that was good, wasn't it? Damn, that rap was good.
That was a bop. I said, okay.
Yeah.
Disco, mama. Can I keep what I did not promise? No, I agree though, because I feel like people really be bothered that I don't fuck with Obama. I don't like Obama. And
where?
I mean, like niggas, niggas love Obama. My nigga got his picture up right now on her fridge. She loved that man. I said, and he didn't give a fuck about you. And then I asked, like, what happened when he was president? Like, what did he do to make your life better? And everybody's like, exactly. The only thing, now that Obamacare did help me. The only thing I appreciated when he was president was the ACA, which I still feel like could have been better. And when I was reading the actual legislation at the time when they were going back and forth with the Republicans on it, the stuff that they were changing, I was like, this is so dumb. Like the stuff they were changing should have stayed in there, but also it's just dumb the things that they were willing to move on versus other stuff. And them Pell Grants. And Pell Grants got me through college.
Yeah.
They did their big one with that. That's about it. That's all. And I don't even feel like that was Obama.
But I think back to the point that me and Laura was trying to make earlier, if we do increase the political sophistication, it would be easy to see that the same group, the Heritage Station who wrote Romney Care is the same as Obamacare. And that way you won't have to be like, oh, well, he brought this, because you'll see a track record of like, oh, that's the same shit y'all was talking about before. So at some point we need to get folks out of this voter fetishism. Shout out to my good brother August Snips. And into like,
that's why I just said ACA and not Obamacare.
Yeah.
But
I thought go ahead, Amber, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I do feel like people were, just happy to have Obama in office because he was black and he could hit he had a little rhythm and he could hit a little you hit a little note. Yeah. Black people love that shit. They are so simple. I said you should be asking for more. You niggas don't ask for more enough for me.
I think we've been conditioned from the pulpit to like a good performance. But yeah.
And I got an example before I go. Because we had this press conference yesterday about our city council who is putting forth a resolution against the National Guard coming here and like authorizing their attorney to sue or whatever. And this pastor got up there from this faith group, didn't say nothing original, was just putting together different MLK quotes and talking about the mountaintop and some other shit. And no one was really into it because like I was like, bro, we don't care about any of that shit. And then I got up there and it was a whole thing. And I was like, see, that's what happens when you're original and you talk about things people care about. They don't want to hear Martin Luther King said there's something happening in Memphis. No one cares about that.
Yeah. And then it makes our youth.
Go ahead. You said it makes what?
And then it makes our youth not care. Like that becomes the other thing. That's how we get the I'm not my ancestors bullshit, because they've been fed from the most like neutralized milquetoast version of their leadership, some story about Dr. King and not who he was. So yeah, you get stuff that people are like, I don't resonate with that history. That doesn't look like me. So
yeah,
100%.
He literally had this little sheet of paper that had 4 quotes on it, and I saw him pull it out, and I was like, "Why he put on that sheet of paper?" Because he was just putting in filler words in between those 4 quotes.
Oh my God. Yeah, again, that kind of laziness. I also just to Gishi's point about our sophistication, we can always challenge them. Like when I run into people like that, I'm like, oh, can you give me a quick King quote from after 1962? If you notice, all that quotes are 1950s quotes, like hands down every single time. So it's stuff like that that happens. People in the chat talking about Obama's dance not having rhythm. That's pretty funny. Yeah, his shit.
It's wild like because he had rhythm. I just think that it wasn't the type of dancing that we would be doing.
It looked like
it had a little. It was a little 2-step, but it just
looked
wasn't
like a subdued Carlton dance. He looked like he was about to hit.
Yeah, he was trying. You could say he was trying to conserve the energy. Yeah, he was trying to keep it low. Yeah, he was definitely trying to keep that shit low. Oh, but actually, man. I wrote an op-ed in January about like MLK and the symbolism around MLK's birthday and Trump being inaugurated on the same day, and talking about how this is a sign of the times. And I was quoting a lot of the MLK quotes around like poverty eradication, socialism, all the stuff in the 60s, basically. And people were, after they read it, they were like, it was really good. They hadn't heard most of those. I was like, yeah, I'm not surprised.
Just Obama feeding you lies. I really appreciate it, before we move on to episode 2, that discussion of AIPAC and the Israeli lobby flowing money into Obama, that was very present in Black Agenda Report's critique. So I know a lot of us come into consciousness at different times. That's why it's so important to be able to go back and get this stuff. But I'm saying, like, yeah, if I had that critique when I was arguing with my grandpa about drones, back in 2012, would have been nice.
Arguing with your grandpa about drones?
He was telling me, what you worried about that for? We got our own thing to worry about over here. Vote for Obama again. I was like, I don't know, Grandpa. Seemed like a losing strategy, bro. But I didn't have the exact language like this. I didn't have access to a Glenn Ford just yet. So I really appreciate finding these gems.
Yeah. I think I'm always annoyed by going into these Black-owned shops with the oils and the shea butters and the different things, and then all of the portraits in the African garb, and the portraits will have like Obama with Gaddafi on the same poster. You're like, wait. Yeah.
Obama and Gaddafi is a crazy one.
Shit rough, bro.
What shops are you going in that have that? Because I've never seen that.
If you never seen Obama and Malcolm X on the same thing, that would be the same shops that have Obama and Gaddafi on the same.
It's like the dogs.
I haven't seen
Powell and shit like that.
No, I haven't seen that either. Maybe I'm not going to the right places.
No, you got it. Well, this also might be gendered. Actually, we were talking about the gender stuff earlier. But you might have to go to a few barbershops. It's like the dogs playing poker game. There's Obama and Garvey and Malcolm and Martin all hanging out, talking to each other, stuff like that. I've seen that many, many times. So yeah, you just substitute the figures sometimes. Gaddafi one maybe.
Obama with Harriet Tubman.
I've seen the Bob Marley. Yeah,
I have seen the Harriet Tubman. It was like a Harriet Tubman, Angela Davis thing. It was like 4 women. But also, I would say, no, I don't go to barbershops. I also don't go to beauty shops either. I go to a natural hair salon, but they don't have anything hanging up. So it's just a building with the salon chairs and the washing thing. Like, it's none of that stuff happening.
No music, no vibes.
They be playing like soul music or whatever. I don't know. I be having my AirPods in. I be in there, talk to the lady a little bit, and then I tune out. I usually be at work. So I just be doing stuff for my job.
Hey man, that's a sign of the times we live in. You got to multitask. They got Charlie Kirk in pics with MLK and JFK. Well, again, if you ever got MLK in a pic with white people, you know a white person made it. So that's the number one for me. Any white person.
All them niggas martyrs. I said, please be serious. Please.
Yeah, come on,
please.
Man. Anybody put Kennedy and King in the same thing is corny to me. So it doesn't even matter that Kirk's in there. That's Kennedy and King is similar to the Obama and Gaddafi to me. It's about the same dynamic.
Okay, I really have to go. I'm not already late. The ain't till 9. I got this. It's only 10 minutes away. I got it.
You chill with us. You gave us till 9:20. Well, 8:23 your time. Very much appreciate
it's the way y'all don't believe in me. I can do this.
I said you could. I never said you could. I just said you're gonna have to catch the next episode because you missed 2.
I'll probably keep watching when I get in the car. I'll probably
Flashback Fridays. All right, I'm gonna pull up the second one in the chat for us so we could talk about today.
You're welcome, guys. I know you'll miss me, but you'll be in great hands. Geechee's so smart, and Lorik likes to make glossaries. So,
thank you, everyone. Tell Amber, have a nice day. Tell her.
Appreciate it. Peace, y'all.
Peace. And I just dropped in the chat. Oh wait, I might not have a lot.
I'm trying to find that one thing that Diallo remixed, that Charlie Kirk thing you was talking about.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like white fascists do kill each other or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Where he puts all the like Hitler and Mussolini and everybody who got offed. Yeah. I can find that one.
So are we queued up somewhere? Or are we playing this?
I was playing it from the beginning, like last time, but I also dropped the Diallo thing. If you want to post that one real quick, just about the remix memes. They say the left can't meme. We do a pretty good job, in my opinion.
You said that what?
They say the left can't meme, but then I look at it. I'm like, nah,
yeah.
I think we're pretty good at this.
Nah, so yeah, so there was this thing that's floating around that looks like this, and I think Diallo does a really good job at correcting the dumb meme. So Malcolm, Martin, whoever that white guy is, Kennedy. Wait, who's this?
That's Charlie Kirk's at the top right because he got the small
No, who's
face.
this to the left?
That's all I was trying to say. I was literally about to Google. You had me, Robert Kennedy, because that's who I think it is.
Oh well, both of the Kennedys. Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's
But
Robert
anyway.
Kennedy. It has to be. It has to be. I know my whites. Yeah, it's Robert Kennedy.
And then the correct meme is you do get smoked for being a fascist, and then all of the fascists who caught one.
Correct. His history proves that accurate.
Yeah. So shout out to Bro Diallo for always
shout out. Yeah, shout out.
So you want to start from the top?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's see what they got this episode. I know there's an international segment, which again feels really relevant to what I've seen on Wednesdays when BAP comes on and does a lot of international analysis and stuff like that. So shout out Erica, Jackie, and Clow for that. But yeah, let's check it out.
In this edition of Black Agenda Television, Bruce Dixon explores an enduring aspect of President Obama's legacy, the closing of hundreds of mostly Black schools and the firing of thousands of African American teachers in the drive to privatize education. A new film takes us on a journey with political prisoner Mumia Abu-Jamal and will examine the U.S. role in the deaths of 6 million people in Eastern Congo, the greatest genocide since World War II. But first, the great Frederick Douglass said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Maybe that's why Black America has been losing ground, especially in the last 4 years. Glenn Ford says, if you demand nothing, you get nothing.
So
we at Black Agenda Report,
we could do Glenn's segment
Black
and then Congo
Leadership Class.
So like the piece on, I think he's going to do a Black misleadership piece and talk about the schools, which is an underreported part of Obama's legacy. He was a big supporter of the charter school movement. And then they go into Congo. So I think those two would be great segments to close out on.
Okay.
To describe those who claim to fight for the interests of African Americans, but really don't represent anyone except their own narrow little class. This Black misleadership class is very much concerned with seeing its members get ahead in business and politics, but their real fixation is power. They want to be near people in power and useful to those who have real power in society. In that sense, they are more like power groupies than leaders. They treasure meetings at the White House so that everyone will see them as having access to power, but they wield no power themselves. And if they ever did get a taste of power, they would never use it to benefit the masses of Black folks. That's why the Black misleadership class has no political agenda beyond the symbolism of seeing Black faces in high places. For them, that's what politics is all about, symbolism and proximity to power. Since they believe in nothing, the misleadership class has great difficulties formulating demands, except, of course, politely requesting that more members of their class be appointed to high positions. And since 2008, they have shown themselves to be totally incapable of making even the most modest request of power. In fact, it has been so long since the Black misleadership class made any substantial demands of power, they appear to have forgotten how. Last month, the NAACP, the Urban League, Al Sharpton, and an assortment of other self-appointed leaders met behind closed doors for 4 hours and came up with a bunch of bland generalities on education, voting rights, healthcare, the economy, and the criminal justice system. Nothing even remotely resembling the beginnings of demands, just a list of talking points that sounded like it came straight out of Barack Obama's White House, and probably did. That's how the Black misleadership class plans to waste the next 4 years, pretending to be getting ready to finally make some demands or even rev up a movement, but never quite getting around to it. They are absolutely useless. And so we at Black Agenda Report have decided it's time to coin a new term, the February 30th movement. The February 30th movement is the brainchild of our poet in residence, Raymond Nat Turner. Of course.
And then speak truth? Oh my God.
Mumia Abu Jamal is a revolutionary person. So he's like a guerrilla in the jungle, in a tent in the rain, writing to the community with next to nothing.
So here we have somebody who defiantly says, yes, I'm not only a journalist, but I'm a revolutionary journalist. And no, I don't agree with anything that you're doing. And yes, I have an international platform, interestingly enough, a platform that I never used to talk about my own case. They want him ground up.
Powerful governments like to control. They love to control. And they love to silence people. They cannot silence Mumia.
When you're pushing the lie, the truth is very threatening.
You come through at a time that your technology was there. That could go around the world. And one day we will find out that he was the voice of America. The voice of America is a fraud.
Since 1996, at least 6 million people have died in the Eastern Congo, half of them children below the age of 5. It's by far the biggest slaughter of human beings since the Second World War. The corporate media would have you believe that this Holocaust is the result of African people's inability to govern themselves. But it is the United States that has armed, financed, and protected those most responsible for the genocide. Black Agenda Television's Glenn Ford spoke with Kambale Musavuli and Maurice Carney of Friends of Congo.
Mr. Musavuli, Mr. Carney, welcome to Black Agenda Television. In the last 16 years, 6 million people have died in the Congo. Most Americans don't know that, and if they do, they have no idea why it has happened and what role the United States, their own country, has played in it.
Yes, this is true. And it's important for your viewing audience to understand why Congo matters. Congo is located in the heart of Africa. It straddles the equator. It's bordered by 9 other African countries. The population of about estimated 70 million people. Congo really is the fulcrum on which the African continent swings. So whatever happens in the Congo reverberates throughout the entire continent. In fact, former South African President Thabo Mbeki said flatly, there is no new Africa without a new Congo. So what transpires in the Congo is vital to the future of the African continent. And there has been tremendous suffering in the Congo since 1996. The UN says it's the deadliest conflict in the world since World War II. And as we delve deeper into it, we'll see the role that U.S. foreign policy plays, which had its birth in the region of late in the Clinton administration, where President Clinton, Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs Susan Rice, developed what they call policy of the new breed of African leaders, or Renaissance leaders. These are leaders that the U.S. administration will present to the world as the future leaders of Africa that we ought to respect, support, and look up to. And these leaders, interestingly enough, have a few things in common. One, they came to power through the barrel of the gun. 2, they've invaded another African country. 3, and they have the blood of millions of Africans on their hands. We're talking about leaders such as Paul Kagame in Rwanda, Yoweri Museveni in Uganda. We also have the late Meles Zenawi in Ethiopia. So you have a situation where U.S. policy is presenting these criminals, war criminals who've committed crimes against humanity to the world as Renaissance leaders and future leaders of Africa. So I'm sure we'll delve more into that, but that's where the latest, the policy had its roots.
Can you
current
pause?
policy anyways, with the Clinton administration and the Renaissance leaders of Africa.
Oh, perfect timing. So
I like the segments, man. I appreciate the announcements. I appreciate the production, discussion of political prisoners, analysis of Black America, and then always tying it to the international. Wanted to address just some ideas about why we do this in the first place. Because one comment we get sometimes is that we all already know this. And well, first of all, I wouldn't assume that's true. The chat is not representative of all our viewers. And I send this to people who have never seen this all the time, who I've eaten community. So that would be one point. But another is I don't want us to think that we're mirroring right-wing programming. So this is Sankofa, like we're going back to get it. We're looking back at the analysis, at the structure that was set up before us, and then looking at how that reflects on now. So that's my approach with this. That's how I see the value in it. I don't think we have to be like the right wing. And I would argue that they just put a bunch of new shit in front of you over and over again, but are still saying the same thing. They actually thrive on you not having a historical memory and not going back and drawing a line through things or having clear definitions of things or clear movement histories. So I would say that's the key difference between how we're approaching our media here and how the right does. So last week, Anthony Montero was one of the interviewers that Glenn interviewed. So what I was pointing out is that you can go on Black Liberation Media's catalog and see other interviews that Jared and folks have done with Montero here. So you can see how the past is a direct line into the present and then our future. So that's how I'm approaching this. Geechee, any thoughts so far on the programming or this segment and things?
Yeah, I think before we get to that, I do want to also share. So as Goddess Q says, I have the idea that this may be a finding your roots type deal. Maybe the complaints about the lack of news has taken place. I do think that, again, as we form into a cooperative and a collective, and we all probably do our own shit in whatever city or country we're in, I think the objective is to create some type of collective project that is beneficial, which also means that at any time people from the chat can come and do it the way that it should be done or whatever the case may be. But it's, you know, as we all know, like there's no way really to meet the needs of everybody on where they're at, how, and then kind of to, as I'm about to call you Ezra, Loric's point. I mean, we're on camera with people who probably don't have the same politics. So I'm not sure that everybody in the chat, we can just assume. So I do think it's decent to kind of show where we come from, because I do think on this platform, we think because people are available to come on the camera that they don't have nothing else to do, or they come to joke or whatever the case may be. And I think it's a attempt to make sure that we be respectful of each other's time, and also do the best we can to try to develop analysis, facilitate particularly the conversations, kind of show you a string of thoughts and politics. So that's that. And then immediately as I heard Glenn start talking, I thought about Glenn saying like, or somebody who said before Glenn, like you can't get any thing without struggle, and then also without making demands. And I hear that in a Black misleadership standpoint, but I wonder if, and I'm pretty sure Glenn would, and others people, I wonder if we use that same narrative for us on the left. Like, are we engaged in struggles, or are we making demands, or are we, I guess, you know, again, the separatist, I guess, movement, like people go into a space and build their own and act like there is no larger struggle. So I wonder if that conversation, how that conversation fit in organizations that's supposed to be on the left and the ones that we always claim that are so disorganized. Because the misleadership class, as much as misleadership they are a part of a more organized collection of things, to where they don't have to be, they could be all the whatever, but they don't have to be, because they're organized by default, right? Because I mean, Kwame Nkrumah talks about the chinks in the supposedly organized. They show their weakness all the time, but the one thing is, even in their weakness, they're part of a larger moving force. And we on the left, again, as we can critique them as the misleadership class and whatever, I wonder if, again, those same things for our leaders in our organizations, are we making demands? Are we engaging a confrontational approach to the struggle, or is it non-confrontational grandstanding and other things? So that's kind of what I was thinking about. Because over on the left, there's a lot of build your own, and we can do our own, and all this other stuff. And sometimes the own end up being non-confrontational. And even if one claims that it's a maroonage approach, the Maroons went to organize to still go back to confront. They just wanted to build up their strength. And I'm just not always clear on that. And then lastly, this Glenn's comment about taste of power. Like, again, people on the left get taste of power too. And what do they do with it? Whether it's platform, resources, or whatever the case would be, I think those would be interesting conversations too, instead of us just kind of staying with talking about what the Miss Leadership class is doing or isn't doing, as if we expected anything out different out of them.
Yeah, completely agree. And I think that's back to your point about policies. What are we demanding locally, nationally, internationally? Because the Black Miss Leadership class offer us, essence, like they don't offer us substance. They don't offer us policies. As we talked about last week, common demand in the Black struggle in the U.S. was for a Marshall Plan for the cities. And so even moving away from those kinds of things, any sort of independent political platform, any sort of demand for investment in our communities is kind of removed. And so we're left with, like you said, a Miss Leadership class that doesn't offer anything but platitudes and vibes and winks and nods. And to your point, yeah, they're backed by the state. Another reason why we can't ever pretend like we're fighting an even fight here. So to your point, and Jared always talks about the media as the fifth arm of the military, but even the language people have for our political discourse, they get from corporate media, right? So I had a million people who have never, I think, said the two words political violence next to each other, say the words political violence almost, in chorus when I'm talking to them, when they talk about Charlie Kirk. Who determines the language that you use? Where is it coming from, right? So as you're saying, the Black Miss Leadership class are embedded in the corporate media apparatus. So they're always going to get their message out way wider and faster. And so as you're saying, we have to actually be contesting power on the ground so people can see why their logic doesn't hold in real time. So great points, Ichi.
So you said you want to go to the next portion of it?
Was there more? I mean, yeah. Let's see.
I know we about to wrap soon.
Yeah, there's more. I'm trying to see. We can maybe jump to Bruce's section at the end. There's more on the Congo and that breakdown. I love how they do the outline. They show you the geography, where it is on the map, how many people. That's the kind of thing I really favor. The section I'm talking about is more toward like 2305. But we can pick back up. But yeah, if y'all want to see more, again, this is just Black Agenda TV, season 1, episode 2. Last week we watched the pilot. I highly recommend you go check these out. Again, Musavelli is somebody who we've had on the platform. So all of these people in Black Agenda Report TV show, we've also had on Black Liberation Media to some extent, or we will have them at one point. So
in cities across the nation, many hundreds of mostly Black schools have been closed down under the pretext of reforming public education. In the process, Black teachers have been fired in huge numbers, often to make way for charter schools and corporate-style education. The pace of school closings and teacher firings has increased exponentially under President Obama, as Bruce Dixon explained.
The current nationwide wave of public school closings and teacher firings, which are concentrated in poor and non-white communities around the country, is directly traceable to President Obama's Race to the Top program. Beginning in the 1980s, deep right-wing pockets like the Bradley and Walton Family Foundation spent billions to create and fund fake grassroots movements for what the media now call education reform. They churned out academic studies and blizzards of media hype, first for vouchers and later on for charter schools, and for what's become a whole panoply of privatization-oriented education reforms. Those billions paid off with the 2001 passage of the No Child Left Behind Act, which made the corporate agenda
of undermining and ultimately privatizing public education national policy. Those standardized test scores were long known to prove little aside from student family income. Test scores suddenly became the gold standard for judging teacher and school performance. School districts were required under No Child Left Behind to purchase and give dozens of costly, meaningless tests and to publish lists ranking their own schools and teachers as failing whenever test scores were low, which again was mostly wherever students were poor. Amid torrents of blame the teachers propaganda, the so-called failing schools were required to hire expensive contractors with cockeyed run the school like a business remedies and even more crackpot tests, spawning overnight an entire industry of jack-legged educational consultants. When test scores still didn't rise, many schools were forced to close, opening the way for chains of profitable charter schools. Results in the classrooms of poor neighborhoods around the country were devastating. Where in 1987-88, the number of years that the largest cohort of teachers had been in the classrooms was 10 years, by 2008, the biggest block of teachers were in their very first year. Tens of thousands of experienced, qualified, dedicated teachers had been run out of the classrooms. This was the state of public education when President Obama walked into the White House door, a result of bipartisan collusion between Republicans and Democrats. But instead of beginning to turn it around, President Obama chose instead to double down. President Obama appointed Chicago School CEO Arne Duncan Secretary of Education. A champion of privatization, Duncan had closed dozens of Chicago public schools, many on short notice, some at the apparent behest of gentrifying real estate developers. Duncan fired so many veteran Black Chicago teachers to fill their slots with mostly white rookies that teachers sued him for racial discrimination in federal court and won. Duncan even introduced military charter schools in Chicago, in one case handing over a West Side middle school to the U.S. Marine Corps. Secretary Duncan at his side, Barack Obama introduced Race to the Top, his administration's signature education policy, drawn up by the Bill and Melinda Gates, the Eli Grove, Boeing, Walton family, and other right-wing foundations. Under Race to the Top, states and school districts bid against each other for many of the same education dollars they used to receive as a matter of course. The winning districts are those quickest to apply Race to the Top's 4 official solutions to the greatest proportion of their so-called failing schools. Race to the Top's 4 federally mandated strategies are school transformations, school turnarounds, school restarts, and school closures. Race to the Top defines a school transformation as firing the principal and up to 50% of the teachers, replacing them with temps and newbies, and hiring expensive consultants, often the same folks who drafted Race to the Top's guidelines or their cronies, to redesign curriculum and personnel policies. Transformed schools tie teachers' jobs to test scores. That is what causes the nationwide epidemic of cheating scandals. They lengthen school days with no extra pay, they cut wages and benefits, and of course, they administer lots of costly and useless tests. Race to the Top calls its second remedy a school turnaround. School turnarounds are exactly the same as school transformations, except that where transformations fire up to 50%, turnaround schools must fire at least 50% of school staff, bring in the same high-priced, run the school like a business consultants, administer more tests, and all the rests. School restarts are the third Race to the Top solution. Close the public school in a school restart, and you reopen a new one with new staff and the connected consultants under the management of a private corporation, usually a charter school, which can use public money to hire even less qualified teachers, can pick and choose the students it serves, and often generates handsome private profits in the name of choice. Race to the Top's 4th is school closure. In a school closing, you fire the staff, you padlock the school doors, and you let families take their chances on the free market or find another public school if they can. The states and school districts quickest to carry out the most transformations, the most turnarounds, the most restarts, and the most school closings are the ones who get to keep or increase their levels of federal funding. Those who drag their feet lose their federal education dollars. The administration says that it aims to reform at least 5,000 public schools in this manner nationwide in Obama's first term. But even if it took 2 terms to do this, Barack Obama is already set to go down in history as the president who's already done more to dismantle, to destroy, and to privatize public education than any president before him. And he's still got 4 more years. Barack Obama is the diseducation president.
We also call your attention to Glenn Ford's groundbreaking speech on the corporate assault on public education, part of the treasure trove of information for liberation, available on our websites. Go to Black.
Yeah, that was an excellent breakdown. Oh, man. My background's in education policy, or one of them, so studying this was really important for my consciousness. So Obama passed Every Student Succeeds Act, the ESSA, in 2015 to continue No Child Left Behind. But this race to the top thing really fits what I think Glenn has described Obama as. I see Trump as like the old school monopoly capitalist, like, you know, like off of cartoons and TV shows, like a gold-plated toilet type of thing. But Obama is a corporatist, and he points out that Obama, if he wasn't president, would be amazing in one of these boardrooms as like a CEO or CFO or something. I could see him doing like what Alex Karp is doing with Palantir now. Obama very clearly could have been some sort of corporate executive. So I look at this, and it's just corporate logic applied to the classroom. So very important to note. Someone in the chat pointed out that they appreciated Black Agenda Report calling this right wing, unlike MSM. I think that's really important. But there was just so much here about Obama's logic that you just give schools, workforces, everything to a market, and it'll solve itself. And then he put Arnie Duncan in power, and I'm just like, there's so much. I didn't know Arnie had lost that lawsuit. I remember hearing about it, but he lost a discrimination lawsuit against Black teachers, and this is who Obama puts in power. And all I remember seeing was videos of this dude playing basketball or something. I think Arnie Duncan was in the Celebrity All-Star game, if you look in that around the time for the NBA. So just a mess of history there. Any thoughts, last comments you want to go through, and then we can maybe gauge the chat and close out?
I mean, I don't think I have anything. I think I would to, you know, in the future, us engage more around, I guess, education. I actually, that's one thing I didn't know about you. I know you was in education, but in terms of policy, so like I would love to have a platform, not a platform, a show about, I guess, education efforts, be it public school, how to engage in that site of struggle, African center schools, charter schools, private, like yeah, I would love to have a time focused in that. Yeah, I think there's some good conversation right there. Go ahead.
I think so. Your point about so there's a thing about privatization. Oh, your point about wanting to build your own, and like that not being a real non-reformist reform or a form of escapism. The charter school movement, in my experience, has been that for a lot of Black people. So even how we talked about independent schools or liberation schools in the past, the framework through which Black people are thinking about organizing that now is charter schools, essentially. So I met, again, one of my classmates, somebody who was trying to build a Black charter school for Black boys, that kind of thing. So everybody now, because these are public but private schools, is now thinking of that neoliberal model to create schools for our people. So I was in Harlem at the time, the Harlem Children's Zone, famous example of this. And my immediate question, even though the charter schools suck for all the reasons listed in that video, was how is this scalable? Same thing with the LeBron James had like an I Promise school. And again, I'm just like, okay, so you built this like amazing school in the ghetto with all these resources, and are we all supposed to have a neighborhood LeBron James? to be the best in the world with millions of dollars and do that. So
and he didn't even put up most of the money. Like most of that was tax revenues that the parents, and then they redistribute tax dollars from other schools to that school. So some of the actual more black schools, less affluent schools, didn't. So there's a ripple effect in it, right? Rather you take students, let's say if you take 50 students out of it, and the threshold they need those 50 students, a particular school cannot get funding because those students are somewhere else. So it really, I think it depends on like the policies. But I'm just always curious about like the conversation around it, because I think very often when we talk about like no investigation or right to speak, we sometimes rush to creating a solution and not really understanding the dynamics and the nuance of the problem, and then probably recreate another problem that nobody kind of looks at. So the example would be during the pandemic when everybody was like celebrating that one sister who had a food truck selling like Rice Krispie treats or some stuff like that. She lost her job and her insurance, and her child was working in that food truck, and it was like, oh, another black business. And you're like, wait, like like one, people are not gonna be outside because it's the pandemic. So but I just think sometimes it's like a really quick and then I think also about like the there's this thing that people talk about like the reorientation movement, like teaching traditional African society values or whatever they say that is, and then juxtaposing that to like European things. So for instance, in that school, they might be like, well, Mansa Musa was the richest. And like now you're comparing prevalent Africans to their ability to amass wealth, and to never interrogate why and how they amass wealth in the first place. That might not be something that you would advocate for. So it's kind of like, So I'm always curious about those conversations and the details of it. And I know sometimes they can get testy, but I'm like,
yeah. I mean, this is just the curriculum themselves. Like the curricula themselves aren't revolutionary, as you pointed out. So like they end up being conservative versions of the thing that we're asking for. And this always gets into that contradiction, which we talk about with organizers. There are obviously immediate needs that are always going to have to be met. Since our people were kidnapped and brought here, we've been suffering. So I always, there's always these appeals to like, our people are suffering now. What are we going to do? But as you said, if you just rush in and you don't know the nature of the problem, you're not actually pushing us in a direction. So I appreciate Malcolm with the OAU. I think I mentioned this quote last time, says we're trying to transform meaningless struggle into meaningful action. So I think about what you described there as how do we actually make meaningful action? And then how do we assume that the world can be changed? Because this is how conservatives get their, we're pragmatic thing off. Like, you aren't pragmatic, you're not trying to make the world change. But they literally changed the entire rules of public education, where our people have been putting all of our energy into trying to transform these school systems, make them equitable, make them a social service for everyone. Since Reconstruction, Black people have been doing that, damn near building the public education system. And they completely shift your struggle and tell you want private schools now. And that historical, rift is never mentioned by conservatives or liberals or things of that nature. They never mention that you were literally trying to do the opposite 40 years ago. And this is the trajectory you're on now. So I appreciate it, my ancestor Bruce Dixon, for laying that out. It was an excellent segment. What you got going on this weekend, Ichi? What you got coming up?
Man, I'm just trying to survive, get my life and mental health right. And then we do got Brian Koba coming up again at the end of this month. So he'll be here in Atlanta for the book talk around Hubert Harrison. And then we're also working on a book talk for Beneath the Mountain that's edited by Jennifer Black and Mamiya. That's going to be on the 30th next month at Morehouse. And then Cherie, one of our culture workers, and Baba Jihad, they have a play coming up October 3rd to 5th. Solos, political solos. So we got a couple PE events coming up, and then I'm about to go meet with some of the identified leaders or potential leaders of the tenant organizer we're trying to attempt to do. I'll be meeting with them at 1:00. So that's going to be treat interest. How about you? What you got to do?
Yeah, start with the meetings. Yeah, I'm about to meet with someone about, we had a mayoral race coming up for the city of Miami. So a lot of what we talked about today, I know Comrade P was talking about how do we not make this an echo chamber, but I'm going to try and apply it to the mayoral race here locally. So I'm meeting with some organizers about that. So if you're in the city of Miami, there are some candidate forums where you can see the Suarez family dynasty is trying to stay in power, even though they stole thousands of dollars on record. So we got to check that out. Theory Thursday last night, Black Men Build is looking at the labor movement and the radical Black tradition. So that'll probably be uploaded to our YouTube channel. So check out YouTube, Black Men Build. Check out our social media. Our Instagram page is fire for real. Really appreciate what they've been doing. And then next week we have a mass call, which is going to be on labor as well. So that's next Thursday. So just tap in with Black Men Build locally and nationally. That's all I got.
Yeah, if in Atlanta, come through. Hey, man, have you read this book yet?
Yes. And not all the way through because my copy is with my comrade. I left it at the socialism conference. So he signed it. I read half, and now I haven't finished it yet. So I'm looking.
Yeah, did you get the free love chapter?
Yeah. We gonna talk about that. We gonna build on that. I know that's a whole dating. We have a real dating show episode with Amber.
I know. Amy Ashwood took a bullet for Garvey at a point. She was trying to push him to radical, but I ain't know her and Hubert.
Yeah. Go out. Always shout out Renee. Shout out Saturdays with Renee. Gem of a program. Go check out the Hubert Harrison episode. They're gonna bring him back on. But there was so many Garvey. I don't know if you saw that, Geechee. So many Garvey struggle sessions.
Oh, what with the Renee joint?
With Quoba on.
I didn't know because I didn't get to watch it. I'm actually supposed to be on when they come back. When Brian come back. Because on there, like with because me and Jared was talking about how that myth was prevalent even then, because Hubert even said like, yo, the dollar leaves, but he wasn't. But he was also talking about cooperatives, and he had a socialist politics. So the book is. I was waiting for a long time, so I think that's why
the book fine. Like I gotta get it back so I can finish that. But we'll definitely build on it more. I think this whole combo and definitions we've been having about left and right and how right wing thought can still exist in left movements extremely important. Because you get to see Garvey might have been the right wing of his movement in the UNIA. He might have been the right wing of the UNIA. If y'all want to look at that history, but that's spicy, so we'll pick up on it in the.
He's not trying to fight none of them Garveyites today.
He
did nothing wrong. But yeah, man, we appreciate y'all for tuning in to Remix Morning Show on Fridays. We do our things. Thank you for the run sheet and the order, my brother.
Thanks for tapping in. Peace if you're willing to fight for it. Enjoy y'all's weekend.
Staggering, the gathering, possessed by a pattern that be scattering. Over the global, my vocals be traveling, unraveling my abdomen and slime is babbling, grammatics that are masculine. I grab the mid, verbally